It's Mr. Edwards from the Wolverhampton Music Service here, bringing you ukulele lesson number 5. In the last lesson we looked at playing chords. We played the chord of F, first finger, first fret, second string. And we played the song Frere Jacques. This time, instead of playing chords, we're going to play individual lines, melodies, patterns, riff. The first thing we need to think about is how we're going to play them with this hand. Now last time, because we were using chords, we used flying thumbs. Because we wanted to play loads of strings, 3 or 4 notes simultaneously. This time we only want to pick out individual notes. So we're going to go back to the piece that we learned in one of the earlier lessons, which was All Elephants Can Grumble. Remember, we learnt that because all is A, elephants is E, can for C, and grumble for G. So that was learning the individual strings. We want to concentrate now on our technique using our thumbs to pick out those strings. Watch this. So we're going to do 2 of each string. A, E, C, G. And if you remember in the song, we played the last string once, except for the last time through. Let me play it for you and remember it. If you know it, join in. 1, 2, 3, 4. All elephants can grumble. They like to moan a lot. Their trunks are very long and sometimes filled with snot very much. Remember the end, we do 2 of each string and then we finish back on the A string to finish. The important thing is to get this thumb action, to be accurate and pick the right strings out. Now it might be you need to look over. If you do look over, don't flatten the ukulele. So we've looked at the individual strings. Now this time we want to use our fingers. Now if you remember from last time when we used our first finger to play the chord of F, I made a lot of fuss about pressing on quite hard with the fingers. Now this time we're going to do it on the top string, the first string. And we're going to use all 4 fingers, one after the other. So we're doing an open string 4 times. Here we go. So try and copy this. I'll play it, you play it back. 1, 2, 3, and again. Just the top string. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3, stop. Now, let's take our first finger, and so that we can start playing riffs and little melodies, we want to try putting that finger on. And we're going to put it on the first fret, just on the string nearest the floor, just the A string, which is the one that we're strumming at the moment. But remember, we need to press on quite hard. Make sure the finger goes towards the middle of the fret, so that it's not touching the metal part or the plastic nut that's there in the middle of the fret, but just on that one string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And after you, 3, and stop. Now if you didn't get that clean sound, then remember, press on harder. This time we're going to move on to the second finger, and we're going to put that in the 2nd fret along. So I'm going to put my first finger behind it because sometimes that helps to support the fingers. If your finger's not very strong yet, you can add the first finger behind it, just makes it easier. So 2nd finger, 2nd fret, string nearest the floor, the A string. 1, 2, 3, my turn. Your turn. 1, 2, 3, and me. And you. 2, 3, and me. One more time. 3, 4. Brilliant. Now, 3rd finger, 3rd fret. So we're going up each fret with the fingers. Are you ready? And again, you might want to put the other fingers behind. You could do it individually like that, but sometimes when you're playing, it's easier to have the fingers just above the notes ready. If you start flying around here, when you start playing fast, you're not very accurate. So keep the fingers just above the strings, even if they're not touching. But for me, I'm pressing them all down. So third finger, third fret on the A string, the string nearest the floor, 4 of those. You ready? My turn, then your turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Me. Your turn, 2, 3, 4. Me. Your turn, 2, 3, 4. Me. Your turn, 2, 3, 4. And me. Brilliant. Now, this is the hardest one because your little finger tends not to be as strong as the others, only because it's more difficult to get that power on there. So don't worry too much about this one. We don't often use the little finger so much when we're playing on ukes, but the little finger, we might as well try it. So, you ready? It'll be the 4th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, quite hard to get it to sound. Okay? 4th finger, 4th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Now, we want to put all that together. Right, so we've had a look at putting our fingers on individual frets. First finger in the 1st fret, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. This time, instead of playing each one on its own, we're going to make it into a sequence. So we're going to do 4 open strings, and then 4 with the 1st finger, 4 with the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then we're going to go back down again, finishing with the open strings. Are you ready? So start with the open string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open. 1st finger, 1st fret. 2nd finger. 3rd finger. 4th finger. Then back again. 3rd. 2nd. 1st. Then open. Now again, the tricky part is getting enough pressure on those fingers so it doesn't sound... That's no good something else. I want you to compose now. Instead of doing 4 of each, I want you to decide how many you want to do for each finger. It might be you do 1 of the 1st, 2 of the 2nd, 3 of the 3rd. It's up to you. Just watch this. I'll just make one up now. So have a go yourself. You can pause the video or do it after it's finished and try making up your own pattern. First of all, going up the strings and the fingers in the order we've just done it. But when you get good at it, you can start messing around and putting the fingers down in different patterns. And that's making something that we call in rock music and pop music a riff, which is just a pattern of notes that repeats over and over again. But it doesn't have to be boring, because at the moment I'm playing a really boring rhythm, aren't I? Da, 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 da. This time I'm going to mess around with the rhythm of it. So have a little go at that. Now, getting those rhythms, you can practice again using your thumb. If you want to listen to some songs you already know, some really well-known pop songs, and copy the rhythm using that thumb, That's a good way to start. But have a little go at experimenting where you're composing your own riffs, your own little patterns. So that's it for today's lesson. Let's just recap what we've looked at. We've looked at the uke, we've looked at the individual strings, thinking about that thumb, the fixed thumb, and being accurate when we're trying to hit the right string and pick the right note out. We thought about our fingers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've thought about the sounds we make by pressing on hard enough and supporting the fingers if need be with the fingers behind them. And then we've played a little riff going up and back down again, and you started making your own riffs up by thinking about different patterns you could use for your fingers and different rhythms. So you're being really creative on composing. And don't forget, when you've made something up, try it out on people, play it to people you've got at home with you. You know, use the internet, use your phones to record it and play it and share it with other folk. And finally, thanks again to Ukulele Rocks for allowing us to use some of their materials in our videos, and we'll see you all soon.